updates on AFRICUNIA television, bringing you updates from around the world in the nation's commercial capital, Lagos, Nigeria. I am Deborah Ezeh. We begin from Nigeria. Hard times are already here for the federal government as its debt servicing exceeded retained revenue by as much as 310 billion naira in the first full month of 2022. This is the first time the country's debt service to revenue ratio would hit or exceed 100%. Detailed analysis of the overview of the fiscal position of the fourth quarter, that is January to April, showed that federal government spent 1.93 trillion naira on debt servicing, which was about 20% higher than the retained revenue pegged at 1.63 trillion naira for the same period. While giving updates on the budget's performance, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, said urgent actions is required to address revenue underperformance and expenditure efficiency at national and subnational levels. She also disclosed that petrol subsidy payments grew by 349.42% from 350 billion naira in 2019 to 1.573 trillion naira in 2021, propelled by the rising price of crude oil in the international markets and falling value of the Naira. And moving on, the Central Bank of Nigeria has clarified a statement made by its governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, at Tuesday's Post-Monetary Policy Committee meeting media briefing. It stressed that Emefiele had during the media briefing warned banks' customers against converting the Naira to dollar for electioneering purposes. CBN Director, Corporate Communications Department, Mr. Osita Uwanisobi, stated this following what he described as attempts by persons to deliberately misinterpret Emefiele's caution on electioneering spending by the political class. At the MPC briefing, Emefiele, in response to a question on the impact of election spending, had said, "For election spending, as far as we are concerned, what we do is to monitor liquidity in the system. And once we see that there is excess liquidity, we will continue to use our discretionary power to mop up liquidity in the vaults of the banks so that they will not get involved in speculative activities with those who want to speculate with currency." End of quote. He therefore urged bank customers not to get involved in unauthorized movement of funds for currency conversion in order not to fall foul of the extant law of the land. Still in Nigeria, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, yesterday berated the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration over the collapse of the nation's national grid for the sixth time in 7 months. This was just as presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, has proposed a solution to the challenges in the country's power sector. Obi, in his verified social media handles, described the failure in the power sector under the current administration as negative parameters that was not only benchmark for governance failure, but a compelling catalyst for leadership change. He wrote, "Reports that the national power grid has collapsed for the sixth time in 7 months is alarming. Once again, many Nigerians have been left to grope around in darkness without electricity. Such negative parameters are not only benchmark for governance failure, but a compelling catalyst for leadership change." It charged the federal government to live up to its statutory responsibilities to avert socio-economic incidents that induce extreme shock and stress on the nation's population. And now away from Nigeria, Lesotho says it will hold its general elections on October 7th in the latest round of polling in the landlocked southern African country. The date was contained in a notice dated July 19th and signed by the head of the country's Electoral Commission, Mpaifele Makutu. The election were announced after King Ezeh III dissolved parliament in line with procedures to prepare for new polls. The outgoing parliament failed, however, to pass a law on electoral reform aimed at ending political volatility. The proposed change would have prohibited lawmakers from switching party allegiance within the first 3 years of their tenure. Still on the African scene, the Moroccan Association for Human Rights released a report on Wednesday putting the death toll from last month's attempts by hundreds of migrants to storm the border between the North African Kingdom and the Spanish enclave of Melilla higher than the official government tally. The human rights watchdog known as AMDH said at least 27 people, mostly from Sudan, South Sudan and Chad, died in the attempt, with that number likely to rise as many more suffered severe injuries and 64 people remaining missing. The Moroccan government has previously reported 23 deaths in the June 24th border storming. AMDH Nado official Omar Naji said that Moroccan and Spanish authorities used smoke bombs and tear gas to disperse the migrants, who gathered that at the Barrio Chino crossing area, which separates the Moroccan city of Nado from Milia, leading to many dying of asphyxiation, although autopsies have not yet been carried out. We now go on a short break, and when we come back, it's updates from the foreign scene. Stay with me. And now welcome back on the foreign scene today. China will suffer the return of more heat waves over the next 10 days from east to west, with some cities already issuing the highest level warning on Friday. A sharp temperature spike is expected on Saturday before building up into heat waves, defined as period of a typically hot weather of 3 days or more. The heat in China has been described as extreme, boosting demand for air conditioning by homes, offices and factories, and pushing the load on power grids in more than a dozen provinces to records. And meanwhile, China reported 1,011 new coronavirus cases for July 21st, of which 175 were symptomatic and 836 were asymptomatic, the National Health Commission said on Friday. Now that compared with 943 new cases a day earlier, 200 symptomatic and 743 asymptomatic infections, which China counts separately. Now there were no new deaths, keeping the nation's fatality at 5,226. Moving on, urban traffic congestion eased in the weeks after Germany made public transport almost free, data shows, suggesting an experiment by Europe's largest economy to combat its addiction to cars may be having some success. Since the beginning of June, Germany has sold a monthly ticket for €9 that is valid for unlimited trips on a vast swathe of its public transport network. The offer, which continues through August, was designed to take the sting out of soaring inflation and cut vehicle emissions. During the week of June 20th, rush hour traffic congestion was down in 23 of 26 cities compared with the week of May 16th, before the new ticket was introduced, the data also showed. Now, still on the foreign scene, Russia and Ukraine signed a deal Friday to reopen Ukraine's Black Sea port for grains export, Turkey said, raising hopes that an international food crisis caused by Russia's invasion could be eased. Ukraine and Russia, both among the world's biggest exporters of food, did not immediately confirm Thursday's announcement by the office of the Turkish president. But in a late-night video address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky hinted his country's Black Sea port could be unblocked. Full details of the agreement were not immediately released, as UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres was going to Turkey, a UN spokesperson said. We now head to the sports scene. Nigeria and Barcelona talisman Asisat Oshoala has been named the 2022 African Women's Player of the Year, while Senegal and FC Bayern Munich forward Sadio Mane was also named as the winner of the men's version of the award at the CAF ceremony in Rabat on Thursday night. Oshoala has now become the first African to win this prestigious award for a record 5 times, overtaking a countrywoman, Perpetua Nkwocha, who claimed the accolade on 4 occasions. She's also the 4th Nigerian to land the award, following in the footsteps of Mercy Akide, Nkwocha, and the incredible Cynthia Uwak. It's Mane's 2nd African Player of the Year title, making him the 5th African after Hel Ajid Diop, Samuel Eto'o, Yaya Toure, and Salah to win the awards in consecutive years. The 2021 and 2022 campaign was arguably Oshoala's best yet, as she played a key role in a Spanish side treble charge, the Spanish Women's Super Cup, Copa de la Reina, and the Premier Vision. And finally, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike yesterday rewarded each player of Rivers United Football Club with cash prizes and 2 weeks visit to Madrid, Spain, following the win in the 2021-2022 Nigeria Professional Football League. The players, their coach, and management have also been conferred with the state's prestigious Governor Service Award. A statement by the Governor Media Aide, Kelvin Ebiri, said Wike made the promise in a colorful reception held at the Governor House, Port Harcourt, yesterday. And according to the statement, Wike, who acknowledged the team's sacrifice, determination, and hard work throughout the 2021 and 2022 league season, rewarded each player with $20,000. The governor explained that the government and the people of Rivers State are delighted that their team won the coveted NPFL trophy. And that concludes the news update on AFRICUNIA television. Do follow all our social media platforms on Jointoon, Pangram.ct, Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter in that respective order. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, and leave a comment for me on the comment section. Once again, I am Deborah Ezeh. Have a beautiful weekend.